Em produção há mais de 5 anos, Spec está finalmente pronto para ser mostrado à imprensa e o GR viajou até Londres para um primeiro contacto exclusivo. Ainda que a marca tenha sido usada numa anterior série, a 2K Games garante que o novo jogo de ação na terceira pessoa é algo inteiramente novo.
Spec is a game by Yager Development. It's a third-person cover-based military shooter. And one of the really big things that we are trying to do with the game is to sort of put a really big emphasis on the narrative. You know, we think it's something that's probably missing from the genre, the military genre in general, and something that 2K has a real identity for, you know, is really sort of pushing really strong narrative stories in games.
Este jogo de ação foca-se no trabalho de equipa e pretende utilizar os elementos do cenário a favor do jogador. Criar emboscadas com areia ou utilizar o sistema de coberturas são algumas das possibilidades. Mas o que quer dizer o subtítulo The Line?
We definitely, Yager and 2K in terms of narrative, it is there as more of a metaphorical thing. It is an analogy from us. It's an analogy for the narrative and what Walker actually goes through. There are, not to say that there aren't instances in the game where you could say, well, yeah, there was definitely a line drawn in the sand there, and you can see it actually quite physically. But the focus for us is as I say, the metaphorical, the analogy of what the moral line is for the protagonist.
Apesar do tom militar, este título pretende tocar os jogadores, principalmente a nível da narrativa. Para a editora, Spec Ops The Line quer ser o jogo mais provocador de sempre.
Yeah, I mean that would be our lofty ambition for this title. As Denby was saying, it's a space that's out there to be filled with a provocative narrative in a game, and it's certainly one we hope that people and players will appreciate and get involved with.
São muitas as inspirações para este título, dos filmes, a livros, e os fãs de Apocalipse Now poderão ter uma grande surpresa.
One of the big sort of inspirations for us is sort of these great movies from the 70s and early 80s, things like Platoon, Full Metal Jacket, Apocalypse Now, and these films really told sort of stories about the men involved in combat. Rather than focusing on the combat and the war in general, it focused on their sort of emotional experience and what happened to them and how they maybe sort of went on this journey throughout the narrative.
A ação tem como palco Dubai, mas troca o esplendor paradisíaco da região por um cenário catastrófico. A areia tomou de assalto a nação e as constantes tempestades tornaram as cidades desertas. A areia será crucial não só para o ambiente recriado, mas igualmente na influência que esta terá na jogabilidade. As tempestades podem mudar o rumo de um combate, mas como utilizar este elemento a nosso favor?
Putting a grenade into sand, it seems logical to us that would create a massive sand burst. So you get like an almost miniature sandstorm on a very small scale. And obviously the AI reacts to that. They get stunned. They can't see properly as much as the player can't as well. So it's a very interesting sort of thing to have in there. The other elements you would have seen today would be the sand avalanches that come out. So the player can spot these at different moments during the game. That means the player does have to be very aware to their surroundings. So you do have to be looking for those windows. You've got to be on the lookout for creaking sand and just little small grains of sand coming out of things. And they might be useful for you to tip the scales of battle. So you saw windows, there's sand leaking out of vents, and again, there was sand that could even fall away from out and be under you that you're not going to know about until, unfortunately, it's too late for you and the character.
Pelos níveis disponíveis na demo presente no evento, Spec Ops revelou-se interessante. A jogabilidade é bastante familiar, os controlos precisos e os momentos dramáticos, assim como a presença de areia, parecem bastante interessantes. Este jogo de ação está previsto para a primavera de 2012 no PC, PlayStation 3 e Xbox 360.